Hello and welcome to the Daily Jagran. I am Subhashish Datta, and with me today is Mr. Vivek Kumar, who is the President and CEO of JA Worldwide Asia Pacific. He is an experienced leader driving change at the intersection of business, sustainability and community. Mr. Vivek, welcome to JNM. Very happy to have you. And so before we begin, I just wanted to understand, tell me more about your background, your journey from the state of Bihar, like you were mentioning to me, and the experiences that shaped your worldview and the career choices you made.
First, thank you so much, Subhashish, for having me in the studio.
It's a privilege.
It is such a pleasure being here with you and to be speaking with your audience. You're absolutely right. I was born in Bihar. I grew up in Chhapra, and I did my +2 education from Chhapra. I had the privilege of being born to educator parents. So both my parents were professors. And being with them, I learned the value of curiosity. I could go to them with any question, and no question will be the wrong question. And they will respond to me, they will encourage me. And because we had quite a few other professor uncles and aunts around us, we could do the same. So the first was the power of curiosity, and for people to be willing to entertain that. As I grew up and came out of Bihar and came to Delhi University, I experienced failure. Failure in a way that I had a bus accident, and I had a gap year, and so on. I experienced the power of going beyond self. Sometimes we focus too much on ourselves, our failures, our struggles. I came in contact with a youth organization called SPICMACE, Society for the Promotion of Indian Classical Music and Culture Amongst Youth, and the founder, Dr. Kiran Seth, allowed me to become the national coordinator for one of the Lectum series, and I was helping coordinate hundreds of concerts across the country, coordinating with youth in different colleges and universities. That was a fantastic experience. And of course, I went on to be the topper of my college in the final year. I completed my ICW intermediate while doing all this. So I think there is a certain amount of energy that the youth have, or people at any stage have, and being able to share a bit of that with the community around us, it just enables us a lot more, and it teaches us the value of being of service. So that was the second experience that shaped me. The third was as I moved to Singapore, and I got the opportunity to join the public sector. And as I started it, and I was coming from Shell Oil, I was working in an MNC with the commercial skill sets and so on. I felt the need to upgrade myself. And I signed up for an online course with the Harvard Kennedy School, Professor Marshall Gans, amazing educator. We became connected subsequently. And that set me up on the pathway to a 10-year career in the public service, which really added a lot of dimensions to my learning experience. So that was the value of education. At any stage in our life, any stage in our career, the ability to learn and the value of education.
I mean, listening to your answer, I mean, my next question was about what motivated you to actually join the youth empowerment space. Like you just mentioned, you were working with an MNC in the commercial sector, and then you sort of moved on to the public sector, and you are now giving it back to the community. So what was that one motivation? I'm sure there have been many motivations, across your career spanning over 2 decades now. So what was that one motivation, if you want to share that with our audiences?
As Steve Jobs shared, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. And as I look at my career that brought me up to that stage, that is what it feels like. So being with the SPICMACE made me aware of the power of youth. It was fantastic. When I was with the public sector, with the Singapore labor movement, as we were making the transition to the knowledge economy, and Singapore having a small population of only about 5-6 million people, the need to reskill them and transition them to that knowledge economy to support the new jobs was very important. And I was fortunate to play a small part in that, in working across professional bodies and company training committees. And that demonstrated to me how upskilling and reskilling can be done so that the gap between two workplaces can be bridged. The third part was I have 25 years of career now, and I certainly wanted to have one in which I could contribute, of course, to the region because it adopted me, but also to India, which was the country of my birth. So when the JA opportunity came along, it connected all these three dots beautifully. I could look after the region, a region which has got 750 million young people. And Subhashish, as we know, with the young people, they can be a dividend. If they get the right value, the right opportunities to connect to the economy, but they could also become disruption if that does not happen. And with the work that JA is doing, we are already reaching about 5 million youth across the region. It was a fantastic opportunity for us to do more to make these kids be ready for a future, most likely an AI future. And it included India, something very close to my heart.
When we are talking about youth, then I think India naturally comes into play. And with that, it brings a different question in my mind, and I would like to bring in Dinu Raheja, ma'am. Ma'am, when we say that, India has one of the largest youth population in the world, we are I think, one of the most young nations across the world. So how do you feel that, we can leverage this demographic advantage that we have over other countries?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me. And yes, India cannot be left out of the equation. When we are talking about youth, I think India is a driver, given our youth population and age, which is a huge advantage to us. The thing is, how do we leverage, to your question, is by skilling, upskilling and reskilling our young population who are going to be entering the workforce very, very soon. And it's important that our young people have the right mindset, the right values, and the right skills for them to be able to be thriving and successful in their careers. So I am heading an organization which is a youth-facing organization in India. We are also partnered with JA. We go by the name of the Global Education Leadership Foundation, JA India. And this is precisely the ethos and philosophy with which we work. How is it that we can give the leadership capacity, the values, as well as the future-ready skills and an entrepreneurial mindset for our young people to have the resilience, but to understand their self-efficacy so that they can actually be a dividend which India can then leverage on.
And, ma'am, you mentioned upskilling, reskilling, and sort of workforce readiness. With that, that thing in mind, Mr. Vivek, I would like to come back to you. You have a very diverse experience, working in India and also in a lot of other nations. If you talk about India specifically, what lessons can, our country learn from other countries when it comes to youth skilling and workforce readiness?
There are 3 points that come to my mind. The first part that comes to my mind is the benefit of having the basic education, but also the bridge to workplace. As you were rightly pointing out, it should not be that there is a big gap between the classroom to the workplace. And yet, if we just stick to the basic education, that's the gap you will see, because the workplaces are moving at a much faster pace. And also the survival skills you need at workplace have become more diverse and more complex as we go along. So one of the things that JA does and JA tGELF do is in bridging that gap. So we focus on workplace readiness as first pillar. The second is financial literacy, and the third is entrepreneurship. So that's the first part, which is that connectivity. The second part is the willingness and desire and the courage to become a job creator, not just a job seeker. We have tremendous opportunities in India and across the world. And with the potential of the youth to embrace those and be resourceful about it and be creative about it, that's a wonderful opportunity. Last week, me and Mrs. Raheja, we joined people from across 12 countries to be in Seoul in Korea, where the country winners of the JA Company of the Year program, they competed at Asia Pacific level. And when you look at some of the ideas that came, there was a team from India called Team Dinu, which has put together something amazing, which is used denim jeans. And given my previous role at WWF, I know how many thousands of liters of fresh water it uses up. And to turn it into really usable products. So they created a laptop bag, which I bought, and I'm using that right now. But that gives them the muscle to be someone who know how to set up a company, how to deal with share capital, how to be prepared for that. The third part I will mention is to be human, to have the values, the ability to connect, the ability to relate to each other, and not to be in a silo. The reason there are so many opportunities around the world is because we are a more connected world than at any point in time in human history perhaps. And yet we are also a world which is perhaps at a more fractious point than more recent history. And when I saw these kids from the 12 countries relate to each other, to ask them, what's your culture like? What's your family like? What do you do? It was amazing to see, because they came back with friends from 11 other countries. So these are the three things I will say are the great opportunities. And I really hope that youth will grab it, and we, as a society, as an economy, as a country, will give them that.
Nice. And I mean, we just talked about sustainability, like you mentioned, the idea of turning denim jeans into different products. Let's address the elephant in the room, that is the artificial intelligence. I would like both of you to, I would like to hear from both of you. There is a lot of disruption that is coming into the entire, market with AI. And I'm sure a lot of people are anxious about how the future is going to look like. A lot of people who are already working like us, we are anxious that what may, if we do not learn the basics of AI, if we do not use it, how relevant will we be in future, or probably in the next 5 years or 10 years. What do you feel that what are the most important AI skills that people should have, or Indian youth should have, to remain competitive in this market?
And I think it's a very relevant question, something I'm sure the youth today, this is uppermost. There is a lot of fear of AI taking away their jobs. So I think there are two aspects to this. One is knowledge competency of what AI is and how to use it. In other circles, there might be knowledge competency, and I think India really needs this, of creating AI models. But beyond that is the understanding in our youth that if they have the skills and the abilities for them to be able to stay ahead of the curve, there is really no reason to fear. So while AI is definitely going to be invading the industry, we are still going to require humans to drive that AI. We are still going to require the creativity, the problem solving, the critical thinking ability, which only a human intelligence can bring in, to make use and to modify that AI. And the human connect, the values of human relationship, which only a human intelligence can bring in and AI cannot, is never going to go away. And that definitely is something. And I think, it is for organizations like ours, where we are able to instill, we are able to put in this learning, build and nurture these capabilities in our youth, so that come AI or any other challenge that comes in the future, we will have our kids ahead of the curve.
Indeed, this is the elephant in the room. I am sensing sometimes in my conversations that we are framing this as a fight or flight kind of responses. Either that we fight AI, or that we are like, oh, no, they're going to take up all our jobs, and we fly away from them. In my humble opinion, I don't think either of them are the right responses. And I would like to position it not as artificial intelligence. I would like to think of it as augmented intelligence. It is very interesting. I was in a brainstorming session with a very diverse group, and we were all talking about AI exactly in the fight or flight mode. And there was a young person there, a college student, And then I turned to her and I said, look, what do you think about it? Because it's about your future. And she looked at me and said, what is the big deal? Yeah. Your generation had the compass box, the geometry box. Our generation has AI. Yeah. And we just need to learn how to work with it. And I think that reframing to say it's not artificial intelligence, it is augmented intelligence, I think will do all of us a lot of good in how we embrace it rather than shirk away from it. So that's the first point. The second point I wanted to make is being realistic about the impact of AI on the jobs that we will have in the future. It is not about AI coming to take away our jobs. It is about how we are learning to do the jobs a lot better, a lot more efficient, and being productive with AI. And therefore, at JA, we have set up an institution called JA Institute, which is a global institution. We have representatives and thought leaders from across industries. And our focus is on learning how are those shifts happening at the level of a specific industries so that we can be very measured in how we advise the students to prepare for those industries. And we have already begun to do some of those things. We have created a tool which is available for students. It's AI powered, but it also has where students could practice pitching with them when they are preparing for the Company of the Year competition. But there is still a space for a human mentor to come in and do that. And that allows us to also look after the AI safety aspects and so on. So those are the ways in which we are activating it. The third part, I will say, as Mrs. Raheja said as well, it is about being able to talk to the children about it, making sure they understand what is shaping around them, but also preparing our teachers around it. And our ability to bring the corporate mentors to the classroom so that they can explain to them how the industry is moving. Because change is coming fast, and we should prepare our youth for that future.
Of course, change is the only constant, that they say. With that, it brings me to the last question. I just wanted more to learn more about your future, your vision for India's youth, and where your organization like yours can, come in shaping that future.
For JA Asia Pacific as well as for tGELF JA India, the future lies in certainly a better skilled generation for the future, so that we are truly able to, as you shared, make the best of the youth dividend that India has. We have an amazing quality of youth across the country, and our ability to shape them into becoming human capital for India to power the next phase of growth is going to be very important. The second part is to develop youth that are aware of the finances that they're dealing with. There are things that I wish I knew 20 years ago. It will help me better prepare for my own retirement planning. But for the youth today, with the kind of diversity of financial options that are available, it is good for them to know how they can begin interacting with it, as well as interacting with the newly evolving financial system early on in their career. The third part, our vision is we will see more successful entrepreneurs coming from India who are solving the world's problems. To us, entrepreneurship and leadership go together. It should not be to just make money for ourselves, which is of course important, don't get me wrong, but it is about solving problems that is going to affect the future for the world. And if Indian youth develop that muscle on how to create something and address the challenges humanity faces, I think we will be in a much better position regionally and globally.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Vivek. And Ms. Raheja, if you want to add on to something that Mr. Vivek said.
Sure, thank you so much, definitely. I think, I would like to add on a couple of aspects that Vivek really, mentioned on. The vision for India, for our young people, is to light that potential that already exists. The Indian youth have amazing potential. And as organizations such as ours, it is our responsibility and intentionality to light that spark, to give them the dreams that they can really achieve. And that is going to light that potential that they have. Financial literacy, we actually call it financial health, and that is so very important for our young people. Again, an intentional program and an intentional avenue that we take for young students and young people to be aware that just as they look after their physical and mental health, they need to invest time and understanding on their financial health as well. Because that is what is going to help them be successful and thrive and be change makers as they grow.
Be the change makers, that's what I'm concluding this interview, wonderful interview with. Thank you so much for watching and keep coming to the Daily Jagran.